So interestingly enough, 62% of users are under 35 years old. How big is the crypto space? How many user ads? So we have about 420 million worldwide people using crypto to date. So this stat was released at the 7th of January. So it's pretty accurate. And in total is about 4.2% of worldwide global population is currently using crypto. So they are owning at least $1 of crypto in some wallets, in some exchanges. So this is how massive this market has become over the years. And if we go further, we can split down a little bit of the percentage of the users. So we
before we go any further, it's very important to notice that out of those 420 million, again, that can be anyone that owns $1 in crypto. You know, and on top of that, I think we even spoke about it last week. BlackRock released that report talking about how crypto is outpacing adoption of prior technologies like the internet, which we all use, and mobile phones. I think it was something like, I don't know how many years it was, maybe 12 for Bitcoin to get to 300, or crypto as a whole to get to 300 million users. It was something like 15 for the internet and something like 20 plus for mobile phones. Crypto's on this really great path of adoption at a faster rate, and it's following, in fact, accelerating or outpacing the internet and mobile phones. So if crypto is going to be as impactful as we believe it is, and those prior technologies, and it's gaining that adoption faster, I think fundamentally that's a very bullish narrative. Anyway, Egon, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, and all the technologies that we have currently, it's boosting the adoption and will boost in the future. So the adoption of the internet was very slow. It take 10 years to make it mainstream. But now that we have it, it's a base for adopting new technologies as crypto, as this newer things coming on the scene. So splitting the ownership by age group, we see, as I told before, 62% are under 25. The 35, 54 years old group, about 23%. And then we have the older generation, so the late boomers, let's say, 50%. So seeing this graph, it can give you a pretty nice overview of how this adoption is coming. So the upcoming new user base of these young people that want maybe to change their life, they see opportunities down there. So they are the fast adopters, maybe than the older generations. But what I done over here is split this first part of under 35 age group and split it how it's split by the super young people and the, let's say, more mature young group age.
So we
have the 18.
Yeah, I guess I'm a mature crypto investor then at this point. So
more mature crypto investor.
Before we dive down into that kind of 35 below and we look how that's segmented, I think it might be worth us just spending a little bit of time talking about the ramifications of the demographic in the cryptocurrency space right now. There are going to be people, younger people, of course, that will grow up with crypto being something that they've only ever known. In the same way, there are kids out there that have only ever known a world with mobile phones. I was lucky enough to kind of capture that, or to grow up during that transition. So I still remember when we had to go and knock on doors and things like this. The internet, of course, it was about, but I'm not that old, but it wasn't really as impactful as it is today or any stretch. There are, as we see these new generations growing up, a lot of them are going to be crypto native. And actually, given how transformative crypto is, it's not going to be alien to them. It's still a little bit alien to all of us that are slightly older. This new concept of money, finance, how things are done. A lot of people are going to be growing up with this inherently. And I think that's very interesting. After you again. Sorry to interrupt you.
No. So if we see how investing has changed over time and how easier now it's invest in something, the majority of young people went to the crypto space because it's more easier, it's newer, gives better opportunities. And so while this generation grow, we will see this change of how people will invest. And if we see the older generation that is swapping let's say, money or assets to the younger one, because that thing will occur in our time period. I would say 10 years, and we will start to see that that monetary value passing generations. We will see this boom in the crypto investing. And there is the discussion that we're going to see some stats about how the classical financial investment is converging to the crypto investing in a certain way. And that, I think, it's very, very powerful for this space,
Yeah.
how things will evolve.
Yeah, and that's not to mention the fact that, you know, there's also this other element to this, and that is that traditional assets are becoming tokenized. We're seeing that already from most major institutions, and that breaks down some of the barriers. You know, a lot of investors, I can't remember if it was Fidelity or who it was, but they looked at who had been the best performing investor, and it was the older guys. And when they rang a lot of them up, they found they were dead, but they still had their Fidelity accounts open. And they were just, because this is the kind of trend of markets, but actually there's a rolling over of wealth that will trickle down, and beautifully positioned is the cryptocurrency space with these younger investors. Just quickly, Egon, I've got something to bring up before you proceed. I don't know the exact percentage of wealth and how it's divided through age group, and we'll use America as a base case here. But wealth is exceptionally heavily concentrated towards people 60 years and over. And what was the percentage of people sort of 60 and over, or what did we have in regards to older people that were involved in crypto?
15%.
15%. And certainly the older you get, potentially the more money there is that needs to be unlocked from the boomers. That flow of money is still yet to sort of trickle down, certainly as time progresses, to a younger demographic that's actually going to be crypto native. So we really loved the work Egon's done on all of this. This is just something interesting. This is average net worth by age. You can see if we look at less than 25, they've not even bothered with going sort of 20 and below, or looking at, you know, people in that demographic. They've gone from 35 and below. Medium net worth is around about 39. Average net worth is around about 183,000. I'm sure some of you will be comparing yourself here. If you're in crypto, hopefully you're outperforming this. From 35 to 44, the medium net worth is about 135,000. A lot of this will be in housing, by the way. And then the average net worth is about $500,000. These are dollars. And you can see, I'm not going to read all of these, but you can see how this graph grows. The older people are, certainly that 65 to 75 is a sweet spot. That capital hasn't entered the space yet. And we can see that through some of the stats that Egon's pulling up. But anyway, Egon, I'll let you continue with some of the stats. Really interesting stuff, guys.
Yeah, and we need to also talk about how the socials are reshaping investing. So the older generation didn't have this tool that we have currently today. The YouTube, the news, and the constant influence on where to invest. So there is much more fast adoption in this new type of investments and crypto. So continue with the stats. As I was mentioning before, there is also an additional interesting stats over here. So we have the 18-24 years old group age. That is around 56.5%.
Wow.
It's a really big pie. And the, let's say, older, younger generation, 25, 34, it's around 43%. So you can see this pie chart, how this represents, and how this, I think, will increase over time. More and more young people, we have younger kids, and also countries that have, let's say, India and regions like this that will fastly most adopt this type of investment. So I split down here the behavior, how we are, the difference between the younger and a little bit older investors, and where they go and search for information. And this is also interesting because we have younger people that rely maybe on more TikTok stuff based. We're going to talk about TikTok later on for sure. But this is the major difference. The more mature investor, how he approaches market, and the younger one that they're going to make a lot of mistakes and going to put a lot of their money in meme coins and more risky stuff.
Uh-oh,
So
you've just awoken the meme coin army there. So any hate directed towards Egon, not me or Sarah, okay? That was him that said wasting money or whatever on meme coins.
Fighting words.
Brave words, mate. Brave words.
yeah, and going down further, we can see also how young people invest in crypto. So it's interesting that 92%, or this is the research for 2024 that I found, use mobile apps for trading and investing. So it's quite interesting how this user try to use more the mobile phone. And what I mean by that, they are more fastly approaching things that while using a PC that you need to think about things, it's a more longer process. Using a mobile phone is very fast, it's very immediate, so they can, switch on to different projects in a more easy way, in a more easy approach. While most older generation are relying on PC, on desktop in a more slowly matter and more research, better approach, let's say like this.
It's such a big number. I was surprised to see that because I usually try and avoid using my phone for that. But maybe it comes from, again, this younger generation. Like I know my niece who's now in university, when she was a kid, like from a baby growing up with, some kind of iPad in her hand, some kind of phone in her hand. So, maybe I guess to them, it's a little more intuitive than whereas me, where it was in the 90s in college, it was like, oh, okay, computers. And that's sort of how I think I learned instead of being on these devices. So it shocked me how high that number was for that demographic.
Yeah, and it's very hard to verify things on a mobile phone in a proper way. They're using a PC and going through a lot of information down there. So this is, of course, my opinion. I think also on using mobile phones and surfing the web is easy and very useful. But when you sit down, have a big screen, you search for it before you take the next step. It's quite important in my opinion. So also we have an allocation of, let's say, 10% of total savings in crypto by this young population.
Yeah, I think they should have 100% in, No. I'm I'm 100% in crypto because I think I'm young enough to take that risk. But would I advise other people do that? Well, you've got to weigh up your own situation. It's very hard to talk about how much of a percent people should be in the cryptocurrency space. And the real reason why that is because everyone's situation is very different. There's this kind of thing, certainly in the UK here all the time. I speak to lots of people that want to get on the property ladder and things like this. And they always say, the boomers stole everything from us because, they got their houses at 8,000 and obviously 8,000 was worth a hell of a lot. And now it's worth $750,000. I wonder if we're on a similar trajectory with crypto. I think that's interesting. Is there this kind of, we the new boomers?
But if you see when you were 18 or 20, I was not thinking about investment at all or putting money in crypto. I will use it to have fun or spend on stupid stuff as all we have did.
How about you, Sarah? Were you thinking about investing when you were that age?
No, I was at raves partying, and that was the last thing from my mind. And I also think too that just the education system didn't teach us over here much about finances. You could take math to grade 10 and then you could just drop it. So I was like, yep, I'm done with it. So, I think it also comes down to the education too. And going back to now where we have YouTube and all these social media platforms, now it's much more accessible for kids or anyone to start learning about the finance. And that's pretty much how I've learned a lot about it because I didn't really learn too much about it in school. So, I just went on a tangent there.
Yeah, no, I saw you both shaking your heads in regards to when you were that age, you weren't thinking of investors. I'll happily be the sad weirdo that was, but more back then it was more things like gold and silver and potentially some stocks. But
so you were investing at 18 years old, gold and silver, really?
Younger than 18. I've probably been investing since I was 12, 13, since I had a bit of spare money. So I've been investing in, a long time now. Obviously, crypto really heavily since the dawn of 2017, and we'll get into that. maybe towards the end of the video. But I've been investing for as long as I can really remember. And I think that I was just lucky to have people that influenced me that way. But the beautiful thing now is we've got kids that are raising themselves likely through the internet. And there's the negatives to that, of course. And we see a lot of that with what we're seeing around the world, certainly in the Western world, and the kind of interesting direction it's taking. But it's very interesting now how, really you summed it up perfectly there, Sarah. The kind of impactful nature of technology is apparent, and it's bringing so much good with it. Certainly the internet freeing up information. Now people can get involved in investing. It's not just sort of kept for the elite few, if you will.
Yeah. It's not a mystery as much. It's not as scary as it used to be. And I think that was it too, where there's this barrier of like, I don't know about that. Accounting numbers. And then now it's there's so many influencers and YouTubers like yourself where it makes it more accessible and not so scary for a lot of people that might have a bit of phobia about numbers and money.
Yeah. And if you see how we saw the inflation on our shoulders on what happened, I think changed a lot of the minds of people. Okay, I don't know, a pack of milk was costing, I know, $1, now it's $5. That changed people behavior. Okay, how can I protect myself? And make that step further to do research, find content, and start to invest. And I think that is a great thing for everyone.
That's one of the sort of things I think gets everybody attracted. It's what attracted me, hearing about my grandparents buying their house for $6,000. It's now worth $750,000. Do you guys have Freddos where you are? We've got an individual in Canada, and we've got somebody somewhere in Europe in an undisclosed location. Freddos is like a chocolate bar. It's like a small chocolate bar that we have here in the UK. I take it you guys are the way you're.
No, in Italy we don't have that kind of stuff. We only eat pizza and pasta. You know that.
Yeah, of course. And in Canada, what do you guys like to eat in Canada? What's a really enjoyable snack over there?
Lay's chips and.
Oh, come on, that's global, right?
Oh, that's right. Okay, they're Canadian though. Ketchup chips.
Yeah. But Freddos were this small chocolate bar that when I was a kid was 5 pence. I think now they're maybe even 50p, 35p, and I'm not that old. So I think that's like, when you think about that, you could have, if they'd lasted for long enough, you could have just bought a load of Freddos and sort of paced inflation into investing. Anyway, we're digressing. You want to get back to the stats, Egon?
Yeah, a very interesting point in how frequently young users are trading and swapping and doing stuff on the apps. And it's about 66% of youngsters are trading on a weekly or monthly basis.
Really?
Yeah. This is a stat not updated. It's from 2023, in the middle of, by the end of the bull run. But this is blow my mind. 66% of the younger generation are weekly, monthly swapping or trading their coins in the crypto space.
Stop doing that, guys.
Wow. Wow.
That's what you're going to stay poor doing that. You've done all the hard work and you've got the foresight, and now you want to try and think that you.
I think that is the base of how younger generations are. And if you see the span attention in socials and how the short format is reshaping how we communicate and how we do things, this is also how people can hold things like Bitcoin, like investment. So they are seeing the price drop. Oh, I will sell it. And then, oh, it's up. I'm going to reinvest again, and they're very fast approach. And they're very, they don't sit and think about what they're doing in a long term. They just want the as early returns as possible. And I think this is shown by how young people behave nowadays in everything. And I think the span of attention, how it's dropped drastically, is a big problem.
Go meditate. Go do something useful. I mean, that's ridiculous. It honestly winds me up as somebody that has gone down a trading path, has spent hundreds of thousands of British pounds to actually learn how to trade, sort out some of the best traders I've ever met in my life. I can speak firsthand about how hard that game is. And when I hear about younger people, and maybe they know what they're doing, maybe they don't, but remember, the definition of an idiot is somebody that continues to do the same thing, getting the same undesired result, but expecting a different one. Is that Einstein that said that? Do we know who said that? Might have been Einstein.
I think it was. Yeah, I think that's an Einstein quote. Mm-hmm.
I think it was Einstein. So if you're doing that and making money, good for you. If you're doing that and losing money, stop it. Just hold the right projects at the right time in a bull market. Don't hold for a bear market. Try and get out for that. You don't need to be doing all this trading stuff. If you're making loads of money off it, great. Rupert, shut up. But if you're losing on that, stop it. And I think, Egg, on the point you mentioned there about people's attention span, and I wasn't joking when I said go and do some meditation or something to try and help you out with that. Like, Sarah, you were saying you try not to be on your phone. Is that deliberate for your own kind of mental whatever? Or is that just something you just, what's your thought there?
Well, I mean, I am a bit of a TikTok addict. I'm not going to lie, but I gotta move my body. I mean, it's winter in Canada, so it's easy just to be like, I'm going to hibernate. But yeah, it's definitely, just mentally, it's not healthy to always be in front of a device, and you have to go out and, like they say, go touch grass, go to the gym, go do some yoga, like just get out, move your body. And it's funny because I remember when I was a kid, all us kids, it'd be winter and they'd wrap us up, bundle us up. Okay, get outside, go play in the snow. And it'd be like -20. And nowadays you don't see that so much. And my guess is a lot of the kids are just inside on their devices, and that's keeping them preoccupied, and everyone's happy. And so I just think people need to, be mindful. Like, there's a world outside of your device.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, I can speak personally, I try and limit screen time, which is easier said than done with the jobs that we have. But like my mum, for example, I can never get hold of her because she's always being mindful. She doesn't want to be on a phone all the time, which is like, in this world, you're kind of like, hang on, but at the same time, I can understand why she does that. And I'm sure maybe, there's definitely benefits from it. Anyway, we're continuing to digress in all sorts of avenues, but it's important. Yeah. This is really interesting information that we can derive a lot from. Certainly paints a polished picture.
Yeah, and this is the consequence of having mobile apps. So why I mentioned that important stats of the above, of the use of the mobile phone, mainly as investing and trading, is because it gives you alerts. It gives you constant, attention to things, and brings you to act or to buy or to sell. So I think this is a consequence of having our mobile phones as an extension of ourselves today. So this is why this is so high percentage for young people.
Wow.
And other interesting stat is the comparison by the investors in the ordinary stock investors and the crypto investors. So I split it up by group of age over here. So we have the under 35 years old, the 35, 44, and we have the over 54 years old. So comparing it to the stock investor, we see the youngster are investing in stocks only for 36%.
So nearly half. Wow.
While in the crypto, they are putting, as we mentioned before, 62%. If we go to the more mature 35, 54 years old, you have a 44% investment in the stock market and a 23% in the crypto market. And at the bottom of the boomers, we have the 50% in crypto and 20% in the stock investments. And so we have a representation over here. It's changing how we invest, as we mentioned before. So this is a stat that is proving it.